Welcome to My Money Mindset podcast, where we explore how a healthy mindset is the foundation for financial success. Each week, we delve into mindset hacks and practical strategies to help you enhance your income, help you make more appropriate investments for yourself, and to improve your overall financial well-being. Join us on this journey to transform your financial future by transforming your mindset. Please note that the information provided on this podcast is for general information purposes only and does not constitute as personal, financial or health advice. It has been prepared without considering your individual objectives, financial situation or life needs. Before making any financial or health decisions, you should consult with a qualified professional or financial advisor to ensure the information aligns with your specific circumstances. So let's begin and enjoy this journey as each episode teaches us on how to improve our overall mindset that overall improves our financial success. Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Money Mindset. Today's a bit of a different episode where I actually discuss some quotes that we've heard in the past or may have heard in the past, or if you haven't, even better, because you'll hear them here today on an episode. I'd like to do a few of them simply because quite often in conversation with clients I always manage to end up quoting some of these, and I thought, well, what better way to express it to everyone to sort of get these property quotes out there to sort of, and thank you for everyone that has provided these quotes and publicised them to everyone, or you may have heard them over different episodes of any particular book that you may read or anything like that, newspapers, so on and so forth. So the first one I wanted to talk about was Susie Orman. That she quoted that was owning a property is the keystone of wealth, both financial affluence and emotional security. Now, basically, she's going on about the home itself and why it's the keystone of wealth. Simply because I think, and this is what a lot of property investors tend to sort of, well, some of them do anyway, but I think a lot of people, when they consider property investment, they tend to just think as an investment as a return on investment. But quite often we overlook the fact that our own owner-occupied property, the one that we're living in, which is our home, can sometimes, and arguably different investors have different opinions on this, arguably say, well, it's probably the best investment. Simply in Australia, you don't pay capital gains when you sell it if it's been your owner occupied the entire time that you've lived in it and you haven't earned income of it. There's no capital gains on it, and most often it's only the one property that people ever own in their life, and they often, when they get to retirement age or beyond, they can downsize this property and then move into something smaller when they don't really need it, or if they're empty nesters and so on and so forth. So that quote, owning a home is a keystone of wealth, both financial affluence and emotional security. Both financial affluence, meaning that of, yes, you are putting, whilst you are paying the loan off, you're actually saving in an investment that tangibly should be going up in value, and emotional security is that of security in your mindset. So when you often think about, hey, what am I doing with my money? Time and time again, I've been working so long, and where's it all the money's gone? Well, it's gone into your home. That home has put a roof over your head. It brings up the kids, or whatever it does for you as a home. It's home, and it's actually an emotional security, as in it makes you feel secure somewhat as a property owner, as someone, somewhere to stay, to feel secure in your own domain, that sort of thing. And it's a positive outlook. Those of you that often have rent investors, so therefore just will rent a house and call the rental property that they're renting home, and own a property elsewhere, can often feel the same thing, simply by knowing that, look, they choose to rent a property and rent out their property simply because it earns them an income, or properties for that matter. So, whatever makes you emotionally secure is probably emotionally secure and positive is probably the important thing here, along with both the financial affluence that a property does provide. The second one is, a house is made of bricks and beams. A home is made of hopes and dreams. Ralph Emerson. So what it basically comes down to is pretty much similar to what I was saying. Yes, if you do, depending on who you are, you look at it as bricks and beams and land, but also that a home is of hopes and dreams. So basically, whilst you're paying it off, you're hoping that it goes up in value, and your dreams are eventually, when life wants to get a little bit easier with retirement or whatever that may be, you can actually sell it and make a bit of money or retain a lot more wealth through the property. Now, the other one which I really love, Will Rogers, when he quoted, don't wait to buy real estate. Buy real estate and wait. Awesome. Simply what he's basically describing here is don't wait to buy real estate and wait. When you wait, and I say it to all people that buy property, and that goes for any investment, those of you that want to invest into something that you know is going to increase in capital gain, or it's going to make you money, or it takes time, guys. Sometimes you will get a quick win, but it's not a lottery. It takes time. So don't wait to buy real estate. Buy real estate and wait. Awesome. Love it. Now, the other one, John Rockefeller. The major fortunes in America have been made in land. Now, that's an awesome one. Most of you, the age-old argument, which we still have today, what's a better investment? Is it Bitcoin? Is it shares? We're just going to ETFs. We do the worldwide ETF, or we'll find one in the States or in Australia, or whatever there may be. But the major fortunes in America have been made in land. Now, there's quite a few discussions in relation to American land. So this quote, obviously by John Rockefeller, residing maybe in the US at that time, but was quoting that land is actually the one that come up trumps when it comes to investment. Now, arguments will always state, those of you who prefer shares and Bitcoin and stuff like that, choose your investment, guys. But this is simply just to identify that property is often the one that has made people a lot of money. The other one is real estate cannot be lost or stolen, nor can it be carried away. Purchased with common sense, paid for in full, and managed with reasonable care, it is about the safest investment in the world. Franklin Roosevelt. I'll read that out again. Real estate cannot be lost or stolen, nor can it be carried away. Purchased with common sense, that's a good one. Purchased with common sense, so just not anything, just purchased with common sense, paid for in full, so pay it off. And if you're paying it off in full, just continue to pay it off, and managed with reasonable care. Make those decisions, as I always harp on about. Be careful with the decisions you make about it. It is about the safest investment in the world. Now, my take on that around property is simply because property is always going to need it. They're not making more land, obviously, cliche, but people always need a place to live. So basically, what saying is, those of you, once again, when we're pressure testing shares as into property, those of you who feel that you can touch it, feel it, like Franklin Roosevelt mentioned, real estate cannot be lost or stolen, it's there. So, and when it's an investment, it's there. So, however you take on it, look, feel free to reach out and give me anything that you believe could be, against these comments, but I think they're great. Now, what I commonly put down is celebrating the emotional security of home. So, home is the nicest word there is. Laura Wilder. Those of you who probably are happy at home, yes, this resonates quite well. Those of you who are not happy at home, well, you could be saying, well, no, it's not. But realistically, to look at an emotional security of a home as a house or a property, I think what basically Laura's getting down to is to say that it's the nicest word there is, as in it's a bit of a refuge. So that too, as an investment, it becomes a refuge. And if you're living in your investment and you're happy to live in it, and you're pretty confident that you can pay it off, that's all that matters in that case. Which sort of gets me on to the next one by William Bennett, where he said the home is a shelter from storms, all sorts of storms. Those of you who know storms, once again, storms meaning that of rain, hail and shine, economic storms, emotional storms, relationship storms, whatever that may be, home is a shelter from storms, however you want to take on that. Now, enough of the property investing, more about the share investors out there. The most important quality for an investor is temperament, not intellect. You need a temperament that neither derives great pleasure from being with the crowd or against the crowd. Warren Buffett. Awesome. I'll say that again. The most important quality for an investor is temperament, not intellect. You need a temperament that neither derives great pleasure from being with the crowd or against the crowd. So in other words, when you invest, it doesn't mean you've got to go with the crowd or against the crowd or whatever the crowd. You need to really pay focus upon temperament, quality of the temperament. So what that basically means is your mindset has everything to do with the purchase of the investment. It has to go with your gut feeling. Now, gut feeling isn't like just going to the casino and throwing, a 50% chance you're going to win or lose on red or black. This is about learning about the investment, in this case, I'm sure it would discuss, let's talk about shares, buying a company, not the share. Learn about the company before you buy it. Just don't dive all in and you hear the crowd say, it's going to go up, it's going to boom and everything. Yes, it might give you an alert, but read up. It's your money, not the crowd's money. Awesome quote. Benjamin Graham, investing is not about picking good companies, but finding good businesses at great prices and having the discipline to hold them. I love that one. Investing is not about picking good companies, but finding good businesses at great prices and having the discipline to hold them. Now, this could go down to as buying the milk bar around the corner that's operating, and if you think it's a great business, it's a good business, simply because the guy that operates it and is selling fresh donuts that are going out the window and making an awesome profit. Guys, same thing as if you're buying into one of the ASX. It's how you look at an investment and businesses, not just running with the flow to say, this, I've heard about this company in the news. Investing is about all businesses at great prices and having the discipline to hold them. So if it is a business that you believe that is going to make a lot of money or has the potential of, or you can see something that others can't or have influenced you to do so, that's what investing is all about. Another one from Warren Buffett, of course, is the stock market is the device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient. Love it. And that is so true. And it always renders back to what I say about investment is to hold it. I did an episode not too long ago in relation to selling investments under emergency. Always make sure you pressure test the investment before you sell it, because once it's gone, it's gone. I suppose I'll close the episode off with two more quotes, both of those being from Warren Buffett. Those of you who love him or hate him or indifferent, but the quotes you definitely can resonate, especially if you've been in investment going for a while or being introduced. Have a look. Awesome dialogue. Risk comes from not knowing what you're doing. Yeah. In other words, understand what you're doing. Really, really learn about what you're going to buy. I'll say it again. Risk comes from not knowing what you're doing. It's all about trying to minimize risk when it comes to buying an investment that you believe is going to go up. Can't say that enough, to be honest, and that's anything really when it comes to investment. And the last one, once again, Warren Buffett, I will tell you how to become rich. Close the doors, be fearful when others are greedy, be greedy when the others are fearful. Love that one. I think a lot of people tend to resonate with that quite a bit, those of you who've been in the investment game. I'll say it again, I will tell you how to become rich. Close the doors, be fearful when others are greedy. In other words, when people are out there and the demand is just going at hack on the share market, be greedy when the others are fearful. In other words, buy at lesser prices. So when everyone's selling their stocks or their shares, the prices are dropping. That's when you go in. And quoted from Warren Buffett, he believes that's where he made a lot of money in those circumstances. And a lot of investors do make it that way. And the same goes for properties. Sometimes you might find a bargain. They could find repossessions, all that sort of stuff, right? Hope you enjoyed that episode. Look, it's a bit of a different one, a bit quirky, but it's something that we can all get out from other people's quotes. We often overlook it, or we hear it on a podcast or a video and go, oh, laugh and not. But I think for the mindset to hear these quirky quotes time and time again, history does repeat, especially investing. There's always new investments, but 9 times out of 10, if you find a commonality or a success commonality when investing, depending on what it is it may be, do your numbers, do your research, learn about what you're investing. I'm sure that you'll do well. Thanks for listening, guys. Hit me up if you think there's anything else that you want to hear from me, and see you on the next episode. All the best.